Alright. Okay, so we are into game number 5 here at the mGG versus TCP Clan War. Of course, brought to you by me, and me alone. There's no other sponsors. No one sponsors me. I'm not cool enough to be sponsored. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. We've got around about 40 viewers, which is pretty cool. And of course, if you are watching and you're in the chat, please say hello. Let us know what you think of the games, if they're pretty fun or not. Of course, there will be VODs posted later for those of you who are either playing or have played or will be playing and you don't want to watch them right now. I'll be posting those later. But let's get into it. Game number 5 is going to be a very, very interesting one in just a jiffy. Yeah, those are mGG sponsors though, Goose. They're not my sponsors. Alright. Now, we're going to have a very interesting match, of course. Everyone knows how I feel about PvP, but we are going to have a PvP here on... I'm on the Dota screen. Wrong one. There we go. It is going to be a PvP here on Cloud Kingdom. It is going to be between, down the bottom left-hand side in the red, it is mGG's Alpha. Winner of the previous game. We'll see if he's able to continue the run. Have we actually had someone continue on with a run so far? I don't think so. But his opponent is going to be up in the top right-hand side in the blue. I spelt his name wrong. In the overlay, it is TCP's pRoJoKo. pRoJoKo. Oops, I spelled it wrong still. Holy crap. There we go. Alright. Hang on, let me get this overlay right. There you go. Alright, that's the best the overlay is going to go. Alright. Oh, did I mix up the colors again? Holy crap, I suck with this thing. Wait. Did I? There you go. Colors are fixed. Thank you, Lemix. You're a champ. Alright, so PvP, of course, it's an interesting matchup. I kind of coined the term that it will only have 3 outcomes. You'll have number 1, you'll have a gateway style opening from both players that ends with just a few gateways, whether it be a sneaky 4-gate or just a those 3-gate things that you seem to see sometimes. You'll have option number 2, which involves either someone got cannoned, or it does go to 2 bases and ends with some sort of blink timing, or perhaps a sort of immortal-based robo timing. Or option number 3, you get to 2 bases. You get to 2 bases, and maybe even 3, and then you have a big-ass Colossus battle where someone will lose purely because they've mispositioned one of the Colossus. So that is how it tends to be in PvP these days. Thank you to guys helping me out in the chat with the score. My bad. This is actually, no joke, the first time I've actually been using this particular overlay. So it's a work in progress right now. But yeah, so hopefully, I don't know, maybe we'll see something crazy out of these guys. At the moment, they are basically exactly the same on the production tab right now. It does look as if pRoJoKo is just a tiny bit ahead of his opponent, but really it's only a few seconds on a Stalker. We'll see if that makes a big difference. It actually looks like he's chrono boosting out his first Stalker. Yes, he is. So it will be a little bit of an early Stalker play from pRoJoKo. It looks like Alpha is just going to continue on slowly. He is going to pick up, I'm assuming... I wouldn't be surprised if both these guys go for a Twilight tech here. It is very common to see blink stalkers on this map. Of course, you will see people just blinking in through this high ground here, and it is very easy to blink back out as well. And then, of course, during later stages of the game, you can come into this 3rd base just here, and then you can also just blink straight across into the main as well. So it is something which can be utilized quite a lot, as we see a robo facility go straight down for pRoJoKo at the moment. Looks like Alpha is going to go the Stargate route. I do like the Stargate plays, of course. If you've ever watched me streaming PvP, I love to do a bit of Phoenix action. It is quite a lot of fun, and I think a really fun way to play PvP. But looks like the scouting probe did see the robo here from pRoJoKo, so Alpha is going to be aware of that. He will need to be aware of the fact that there may be some possible blink stalkers may come in with the observer that helps out to see the high ground, or of course that there could be some kind of immortal bust or just a basic immortal sort of protection. But we'll see what comes up, because at the moment pRoJoKo is just continuing on with his stalker production. We're up to, I think it's a total of 3 stalkers at the moment. Yes, it is. There are 2 already inside the middle of the map. Looks like a probe is going to get caught out in the middle. Phoenix is being chrono boosted out from Alpha at the moment. Normally when people play Phoenix builds, they'll do around about 3, sometimes 4 Phoenix, just to try and get the edge on your opponent. Then what you want to do is use them to try and catch your opponent off guard. You want to try and pick up some of these probes inside the main, get rid of a few of those if you can, to try and make sure you've got a really nice probe lead, and then take the advantage from there. So we'll see if that's the plan from Alpha. It looks as if he is going to go up to 3 and then perhaps head across the map. Another big thing about Phoenix is they're great at scouting. You'll be able to find if your opponent has taken that third base, the natural base. But very interested. There it is. Okay, so it is a Robo Bay, which is just about to complete here. So very quick Colossus are about to come out, unless there's that word again. Unless it's some sort of speed prism build. Nope, it is a Colossus. All right, so I was wrong. So it is going to be a very quick Colossus against a Phoenix play, and it looks like pRoJoKo did actually scout that out. So he's actually headed all of his units back to the mineral line here, warping in an extra stalker, in fact. And Alpha is not going to have a fun time at all trying to lift up some of these probes. Does try and bust through. One of the Phoenix goes down. Only 2 workers killed. In fact, one of those was probably the scouting worker, so that doesn't actually mean anything at all. And Alpha is going to try and expand. Now, this is a bit of a problem with the Phoenix style. If you don't actually continue the Phoenix production, you may be in a bit of trouble when it comes to expanding. But as we can see, the first Colossus now coming out from pRoJoKo, so he's actually going to have a very nice timing where he can push in, depending on how much defense Alpha creates. Because of course, you can build a forge if you want, maybe get a couple of cannons out, and that can certainly help. But he is going to continue the Phoenix production. I do like that. So he's still at a total of 3 Phoenix right now. He's going to continue trying to put some pressure on, maybe catch out this one probe. Does he get it? Yes, he does. Kill off that bad boy. Gets it, and then should be able to scout that the Nexus is on the way. This means that he can be relatively safe for the time being. Of course, he did get his own Nexus up pretty quickly, but it does mean that he will be okay to try and hold off for the time being against any possible timing attacks. It means that his opponent won't be able to get out too many Colossus straight away, because you have put the 400 minerals into getting this Nexus up. So things do look like they're going to go at least to option number 2 in this PvP, and of course looks like he is going to continue on with the tech, getting an immortal out. pRoJoKo continuing on with his scouting. This is a fantastic observer usage here from pRoJoKo. Really impressed with the fact that he's just kept on keeping on with all of those observers. Now up to 4. Phoenix is Alpha going to continue on with the production of those? I'm not sure just as of yet. Maybe able to grab a couple of these Phoenix. The other nice advantage of the Phoenix is they can help you out against the Colossus. As we can see, hitting those Colossus, because their big heads are all up in the air, and I am not sure how I feel about the Phoenix usage in there. Perhaps when your opponent is well aware of what's going on, you should sort of stay outside the main base until a little bit later on. But it does look like that hero observer that pRoJoKo had is now being taken down. A Robo Bay is also on the way from Alpha, so it does look like we're going to get to I would say we're going to get to that Colossus stage, because both players really just sitting back, making sure that their mineral lines are defended properly, and just getting that Colossus tech up and running. Alpha, actually the first one to get his gases 3 and 4 up. pRoJoKo just a little bit behind right now. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought he would have gone for those straight away, given that he did get that very quick Colossus tech. Another probe snipe there, just really keeping his opponent locked in. And that's another facet of playing with a Phoenix style, except for the fact that you're actually pylon blocked right now, Alpha, is that you really want to... a lot of people, like, you'll know how mutalisks work. in the fact that they will keep an opponent inside their base. If you play ZVP, you'll know that if you get a bunch of Mutalisks out, you can actually keep your Protoss opponent until they have the right tech. You can keep them inside their base and just sort of lock down for the time being. This is what this particular tech can do. It works the exact same way. You've got the Phoenix flying around, picking up the odd probe if you can catch one out. Unfortunately, Alpha has been a little bit too hasty with some of his attacks, but either way, it is still getting a bit of damage done. As we can see, the worker kill tab showing us that 10 workers have been killed by Alpha. So he's doing a pretty good job of getting some kills, despite the fact that his opponent has got this very sturdy defense inside both the mineral lines. So yeah, we're sort of, as I said, we've sort of got that stage now where you're like, alright, 15-minute, no rush, let's keep at it. And Alpha looks like he's going to be the first one to deviate. He is going to take a third base down here at this protected position. Looks like he will try and get that up, but I think he is going to continue the Robo production. Once that base gets up, you can expect him to pick up another Robo facility and then start getting out double Colossus at a time. Of course, we can see that he does have one Forge up and running. Normally in mirror matchups, upgrades don't really count too much, and PvP is not too much different. Of course, the upgrades really affect the power units, such as the Colossus and the Immortals and the Archons, that type of thing. So your ground upgrades are actually quite nice, but they're actually kind of useless if you get them very quickly. So that's why we can see he's only picked that up right about now, and the +1 to weapons is only just going to complete in about 30 seconds or so. And there is the second Robo facility, so he is going to get the double Robo pumping going. pRoJoKo's already got his going, so the Colossus count at the moment does favor pRoJoKo. Actually, no, it doesn't now. It's actually just even right now because Alpha does sit on a total of 3. pRoJoKo is also on 3 at the moment, but does not have extended thermal lance just yet. That is just on the way in. That tech is just about to complete. His Twilight Council also completing as well. So Alpha's sitting in a relatively good position right now. The only thing that you'd be a little bit worried about is the fact that he does not have his extended thermal lance yet. He's oh, I am sorry, he actually does. My bad. So he's going to be in a very good position with the fact that he's got the third base. Of course, this gives you the added bonus of gases 5 and 6. And, yep, there you go. I was just reading in chat as Muex points out, +1 Immortals, 3-shot Stalkers instead of 4-shotting them, which is really, really nice. And of course the Colossi 5-shot the Zealots and Stalkers instead of 6 shots, which is always very good when you get to that late game stage. So they do make a difference, but realistically only on the power units that have the double attacks and those very heavy attacks. Those are the ones that really benefit from those upgrades. So Alpha, with that daring third base, has turned it into a bit of a profit there. Now, with the fact that he's bringing in quite a lot of minerals and gas right now, sitting at a total of 1,600 coming in, around about 700 to 800 gas as well. And he does actually scout out that there is a proxy pylon here. So it looks like pRoJoKo is prepared to go on the move. Does he have? Yes, he does know that the third base is here. He's decided it's time to go because he does not want to let Alpha have that big advantage that he has. He's bringing in more units. He's bringing in his whole group of forces here. Let's have a quick look at the pRoJoKo cam to see what he's up to. We're just looking at what he's up to right now. We can see he's chrono boosting those Robo facilities, making sure that he's getting those extra Colossus out as quickly as possible. Proxy pylon going down, and it looks like he's just a little bit supply blocked right now, but a couple of extra gates are going to help out with his production. And here we go. What does Alpha see? He still does not know that the attack is on. There we go. Does find that the attack has started to push into his third base, but it looks as if pRoJoKo is starting to head back, and that could not be a better sign for Alpha right now. The fact that he's forced his opponent back when he's already taken his third base very quickly, and he knows that his opponent doesn't have a third just as of yet, that is a very good sign for Alpha right now, and the Colossus count is going to start to increase for both players. And when you're trying to take your third base and secure the third base, when you're actually around about even on the Colossus count, that can be very difficult. And so what's Alpha going to do? What do we do when you get more ahead, people? Wait, what do you do when you're ahead, guys? You get more ahead. So Alpha is certainly going to do that. Looks if the as Hazard pointed out, the worker count is not looking good for pRoJoKo at the moment either. He's at 47, so he's quite far behind on that, and I'm still trying to find a difference that sort of gives him a little bit of a bonus for that, but I mean, there isn't really much of one. But here we go, some DTs now coming through. They're going to try and make their way down to the... I hope they're not going to the third base, because there's a couple of cannons there, and that would be very, very annoying for them. And there is one cannon at the front. Perhaps if they can snipe out this cannon before it takes them down. Nope, they're going to split up. Nope, they're going to go back. A little bit of indecision with those DTs. He does kill the cannon, and now inside this natural base, going to target down some of those workers. If he could perhaps pick up some of those workers, he'll be sitting in a little bit of a nicer spot. But the fact that he's only still just getting his third base up does not bode well. And one of the DTs does get inside the main base. Going to go to town on these probes inside the gas. Always a good target to start with. Makes your opponent lose a bit of their gas income, which is not good at all in PvP, I tell you what. But still, it's a long way to go for pRoJoKo, realistically speaking, because his opponent now has a mothership out. Yes, indeed, there is a mothership for Alpha right now. What does this mean? It means that you can throw down the old Vortex on your opponent's Colossus. And what do you do once the Vortex is up on Colossus? You use your own Colossus, spread them out, try and get them in a big circle to try and just target down your opponent so that they can't target you and splash you back, because they'll be in a big ball formation. So the Colossus count currently sitting at 9 for Alpha right now, currently sitting at 8 for pRoJoKo. A little bit surprised that he hasn't actually spotted this observer that's sitting here right over the top of his forces, perhaps lacking in his own observers right now. But the Colossus count continues to increase for both players, as we can see, now up at 10 for pRoJoKo. He's also adding in a few Archons as well. He's losing a few probes though at his third base, because the Phoenix that started out the game are still on the map, and they're doing all sorts of good junk. Yeah, the big factor here is that Alpha has his mothership out, and is now starting just a couple of carriers. There you go, carriers starting, boys and girls. Not too often you get to see these bad boys in PvP. But they are going to come across. We got +1 to air weapons on the way, +3 to ground weapons is also starting up for Alpha right now, and I think he knows that it's time to get busy and get moving, because he's up at 195 supply, only one carrier going to come in, and then a bit of tech, and not much else to wait for right now, and he's going to really start putting the pressure on his opponent. He's also taken, of course, we did see the 4th base here in the middle. He's now also looking to secure a 5th base down the bottom right hand side. So Alpha, looking good right now. Mothership charging up. She's up to 159 energy on those big skills, such as the Vortex, and of course the Recall, although you don't really see Recall in this match, because that'd be a bit crazy. That'd be a bit too crazy, I think. So, DT Tech is also on the way for Alpha, just making sure he's got all his bases covered, but here we go. Looks as if the battle is going to commence. We've got a few Archons and some Immortals here for Alpha, not to mention the big amount of Colossus as well. No spread for either player. They're all stuck in a big clump, and there is the Vortex. Every single unit goes in, and this is not going to be good for pRoJoKo at all. Waiting for the spread on the Colossus from Alpha. He's not doing it just yet, so he may lose a couple of his Colossus as soon as they pop out. Bam! There you go. Big move from both players here. The Colossus count is going to start dwindling. As you can see, the big clump of pRoJoKo is getting mashed down, but the cloak is really helping out a little bit. But there are the observers, and it looks as if pRoJoKo is going to go down. Resupply on Zealots from our big player Alpha. There you go. So he does take it down. As I said, option number 3, boys and girls. Option number 3. Get to 3 or 4 bases, then someone loses because Colossus weren't positioned too well. So, obviously, you know, we did go to that late game there, but unfortunately for pRoJoKo, not able to keep up with the production capabilities. Did not spot that early third base from Alpha as quickly as he would have liked to. Of course, if you spot the third base, you probably want to take it yourself, just to make sure you keep up in your macro. Otherwise, you're going to want to go for a big push. Now, the thing in PvP is, of course, that going for a push against someone who is also building out a double Colossus is that it's really hard to try and push in against something like that. They'll generally have a better spread than you will, and they'll be able to get more units back into the fight a little bit faster. So just one small slip up in PvP can cost you quite a lot. In Heart of the Swarm, if has anyone else been playing Heart of the Swarm? You can see some really good games in Heart of the Swarm with Tempest coming out. They help with dealing with mass Colossus games. In fact, from time to time, I've seen mass Tempest games now, which is kind of the same thing, but it's a little bit different. I don't know, it's whatever. But hopefully, Tempest will help out in Heart of the Swarm. I think it's a really good addition to PvP. But anyway, moving on. That does mean that mGG goes up on the board. Let me make sure I get that covered